welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Alright, Smackdown, September the 1st, 2023, the return of John Cena. Gonna talk about that, but we're also gonna do payback predictions later in the show. Stick around for that. Smackdown was what it was. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. Typical Smackdown. Some confusion in the Bloodline story. Oh my god. But let's talk about it. John Cena comes out, says he's going to host Payback, and every time he comes out there, he wants to give back to the crowd, give back to the people, because the people have allowed him to do everything. They allowed him to come out there. They allowed him to have his first match in India coming up soon. So he's going to do his best to always say thank you and to give back. He is then interrupted by new look, new sound, 3 M's, Jamie Uso, who has a new theme, and it's mid, wildly mid. So he interrupts John Cena to say, what is John Cena doing here? And say that the people came to see him, a real top star. Then he says he don't care if people like him. He don't care if people don't like what he did. He did it because he loves his brother. He said he did it because he doesn't want his brother to end up corrupted like John Cena and Roman Reigns. Everybody's looking like, what is this fool talking about? So he says that John Cena and Roman are a lot alike. All they do is take, but only difference is that John Cena does it with a smile. So John Cena says that he's been waiting a few years to say this. I don't know why he would be waiting a few years to say this, but he says the wrong Uso quit. Jimmy then tried to super kick John Cena and ended up getting an attitude adjustment. The big old FU. So this show was about reestablishing Jimmy Uso. They put him in a promo battle with John Cena. Probably wasn't the best idea. Jimmy isn't Jay, that's for sure. Not on the microphone. It was okay. I mean, breaking up the super pandery babyface promo by John Cena, it probably should have been somebody else if we're being honest. But it's okay if it were to be Jimmy Uso. For Jimmy to double down on the I did it to stop Jay from being corrupted, all right. But now it's seeming like that's not true, because at the same time he says that everybody's there to see him, a top star. So he's saying that he's a top star, he's the guy, which leans into the other half of his promo when he initially turned, when he says, what about me? What about the Usos, you know? So he's thinking of himself at this point. So Jimmy, after taking the AA from John Cena, he's backstage, starts bullying various production guys. And then he decides to take his bullying up a notch. Mia Yim is in there in the office talking to Adam Pearce. He just barges in, says that nobody's talking to Mia Yim, and why did Adam Pearce want to see him? And Adam Pearce asked him to stop being rude. You're being rude. You got people running around here shaving folks' heads, and you're concerned. You're deeply concerned that Jimmy Uso is being rude. You have these dudes stabbing each other in the back week after week after week, and you're concerned that Jimmy Uso was being rude. What is going on here? Then Santos Escobar got feloniously assaulted, and his leg almost broken in half. And we got called into the office because you were being rude. You can do whatever you want as long as you're not rude, apparently. Anyway, Mia Yim and Jimmy had words, to which Jimmy just basically ignored her. Then Mia Yim went and complained to the Good Brothers, and they was like, you know what? Not that big a deal. You know, it's okay. Don't get mixed up with the bloodline. You know, just leave them guys alone. They doing too much. So AJ Styles overhears this and like, wait a minute, what do you mean? This is a big deal. This is a problem. Who these guys think they are? Who they think they are, huh? So then AJ went and found Jimmy as Jimmy was leaving the building, and says that if he ever talks to me and him that way again, and he ever tries to bully her again, he's gonna get something. So then AJ and Jimmy start shoving each other. Then Solo attacked AJ Styles from behind. Then he told Jimmy that he's not out of the bloodline until they say so. So Jimmy packed his bags and said, look, I don't listen. I don't take orders from y'all. I don't listen to y'all. I'm out of here. I'm taking off. So he leaves. AJ Styles then cut a promo saying that the bloodline does not run SmackDown. They don't run WWE. And he called out Solo Sikoa. He's going to give him a taste of what he's been doing to everybody else. Then he says that then the Good Brothers showed up. They don't want to be involved with the bloodline. They tell AJ Styles again, look, man, we don't want to be part of this bloodline stuff, man. We don't want those problems. And AJ's like, look, nope. Yes, we do. Because this is the house that AJ Styles built. I'm like, oh Lord, we're going back. We're going back in time. Main event of the evening, AJ Styles versus Solo Sikoa. Solid match, really solid. Solo really stepped it up here. AJ is always good, of course. The finish, Paul Heyman comes down to ringside, the lying and prevaricating Paul Heyman. And, AJ Styles hates some Paul Heyman, which is great. Because he don't like this guy for a shoot, which makes it even funnier. And he distracts him initially, not enough. Then he distracts him again. This time, Jimmy Uso sweeps AJ's leg from the top rope. AJ comes down, Samoan Spike, Solo Sikoa wins with the help of Jimmy Uso. Jimmy gets in the ring. Then Solo grabs him by the neck with both hands, like he's going to strangle him to death. Paul separates them, leading Solo to think that, he's behind this. He's got the red phone out. The bat phone is out. The bat phone is out. So then Jimmy super kicks AJ Styles, gives him the Uso splash. Then he looks directly at Solo and Heyman, puts up the one finger. Is that the symbol of him wanting to return to the bloodline? Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Okay, so we got serious heel Jimmy Uso. He's going straight up heel. No mixed bag here. The tease of him returning to the bloodline, I don't know if I like that. The idea that you can't leave the bloodline is actually more interesting than Jimmy wanting to get back in. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that Jimmy wants to get back into the bloodline. It could be that Jimmy just wants to be close with his brother, Solo. I think when this whole thing started, I kind of pitched the idea that Jimmy and Jay would separate, and Jay would go solo, and Jimmy would just team up with Solo, and they would create like a new Samoan SWAT team or a new Usos or something like that. And I still think you could do that. You could have Jimmy sort of pull Solo away from Roman and pull him into his own orbit, and have Jimmy and Solo as a tag team. You could do that. I mean, there's nothing that stops it. It's not quite Rockers 2.0, but I know if you call them like the Usos 2.0, that doesn't work. You have to create a new name. But, it's basically Jimmy and his brother still teaming. I don't think Jimmy Uso's got the stuff to be a single star. But if Solo needs to work some tag matches, he could tag with Jimmy. Why not? That's his big brother. That works out just fine. This would be a different version of the Usos with two different Rikishi sons. So I think that's what we got here. I think that Jimmy is motioning to Solo that they're one blood, because that's what they are, And if Jimmy is going to be straight up heel and Solo is helping him, it's natural that they would have a bond together. It's clear that Jimmy doesn't want anything to do with Roman, but that ain't got nothing to do with Solo. So I'm guessing that's the next leg of this story, is that Jimmy wants to be simpatico with his little brother. He wants to be friendly, and he wants to be buddies with his little brother. And I'm okay with that. I think if that's the next angle in this story, that works. Because honestly, the idea that we're going to put Jimmy back in the bloodline, that's terrible. That's just awful stuff. But if you want to just have Jimmy and Solo do their own thing outside of Roman, since Roman is not there, then maybe have Roman pop in and be like, Solo get in line, and then Jimmy got to be like, nah, you ain't got to get in line. You don't got to do that. He can only be a babyface when opposing Roman. You could create that very weird scenario where Jimmy and Solo are usually heels, but when Roman's on the other side, they're the baby faces. So that could work. But the match between Solo and AJ Styles was quite good. They're teasing, of course, a Bloodline versus OC thing, which I also think is going to end up being the reason why Jimmy may go back to doing stuff with the Bloodline to make the matches 3-on-3, so that Roman has to be in it at that point for it to be 3-on-3. But you could do a solid tag team match between like Jimmy and Solo versus the Good Brothers. Jimmy and Solo versus Carl Anderson and AJ Styles, etc. So you could do that. I don't hate that. I don't dislike that. I know some people are going to be squeamish about the idea of Jimmy being the first one to turn on Roman and then still teaming up with Roman. That's why I don't think the 6-man tag idea works. But the tag team match between Solo and Jimmy, that works. They fought before, but they're brothers, so they can talk it out. It doesn't take that many times for them to sit down. Brett and Owen talked it out. Owen kicked Brett's leg out of his leg, and they talked it out. It's not unbelievable that they wouldn't talk it out. They're one blood. Okay. So the first match on the show was the LWO, Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory have a promo before the match in which Grayson Waller claims he's going to expose Cody Rhodes. And Austin Theory made fun of Santos Escobar and Rey Mysterio. They ended up winning the match when Grayson Waller pinned Santos Escobar. And they pinned Santos Escobar as he shoved Rey out of the way before taking a chop block. So Santos sacrificed himself for Rey and ended up losing. That's fine. They're still telling this story here with Santos Escobar. So Theory and Waller win. That's just fine. It's just given Austin Theory he should have probably won the match, as it would have given him some level of momentum going into Payback. But it was fine, I guess. Theory and Waller, I've been pitching for this team for a long time. I've been saying that these two guys look like they work great together. And I wasn't wrong. They'd still need some time to gel and all that kind of stuff. But I like the Theory-Waller team. It works. I think if you give them enough time, they would gel into a great Heenan and Bockwinkel style pairing. I think they could be fun together. Speaking of fun together, Lashley is hanging out with the Street Profits again. Lashley talked this week. Well, he did the best that he could. He says that everyone keeps asking him about the Street Profits, and he says that real recognize real, greats recognize greats, and he recognizes the Street Profits. So then he talks about how the Street Profits were charismatic, they were entertaining, but now they're more aggressive than ever. The Street Profits said that they want to celebrate Lashley for everything that he's done for them. They look at them now, and Montez Ford was like, "We sexy," which is hilarious. He said now they see the bigger picture. They're going from what was to what is, from what was to what is, from what was to what is. So they thank Lashley. Lashley said they could thank him with their continued success. They put the locker room on notice, and then Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens' theme song played, and they had a little face-off in the aisleway before the Street Profits stepped aside to let them through. So I don't think they named the faction yet, but the faction does exist, Lashley and the Street Profits, and we need a name for this conglomerate. They need to add more people too. They probably need at least one more person, at least one more. But I like this. The Street Profits are so good. They're especially Montez Ford. That kid's got something. I call him a kid. He's probably not that much younger than me, but that kid's got something. But they're teasing now the tag team feud of the Street Profits versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That works. Well, of course, it also tells you that the Judgment Day is going to lose tomorrow, but I think we all knew that, right? I don't think that's necessarily anything that we didn't know. So, in any event, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. Very quick win here. LWO, 4 of the 5 members all lost in one night. Well, that'll teach you to sell a bunch of T-shirts and be popular. you'll learn your lesson yet about being popular in the WWE. You'll lose all the goddamn time. It's okay though. Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro never win anyway. After the match, Sami Zayn says that he had a message for Judgment Day, and that is that this won't be fun and it won't be pretty at Payback. They're going to be in for the fight of their lives. And I was like, okay, I believe you. Do you believe him? I believe him. I believe him. I believe Sami Zayn. I believe everything Sami Zayn says, man. I'm not going to hold you up, brother. I believe everything Sami Zayn says. He's a very nice man. The truth is not a stranger to him. All right? Real recognize real, and I recognize Sami Zayn. All right, so The Miz and LA Knight. Brother. What a powerful segment this was here. So The Miz comes out of nowhere, because he's not supposed to be on this show, of course. He says that Payback will be the biggest night of LA Knight's career. LA Knight is not on his level. Hell, LA Knight is not on the level he was on 10 years ago. Then LA Knight comes out, mentions that The Miz likes to play cosplay dress up, and he plays cosplay dress up of himself, The Rock, and John Cena. 3 guys that Miz wants to be, but he can't. Then he talked about The Miz taking the elevator to the top, coming in fresh off the real world, taking advantage of all of his privileges, while LA Knight came from the sewer. He slept in a roach-infested apartment. He cashed his checks at the payday loan place. He stumbled his words. And then he said that Miz lives in the past. That he says Miz lives in the past because his present is trash and his future is even worse. So The Miz cut a promo saying that Miz said that he succeeded everywhere that LA Knight has failed. That, nobody knew this, but LA Knight used to be on a reality TV show. It was called The Hero. And you wouldn't know that he was on it because he was one of the first people eliminated. I thought that was funny. So, so The Miz says after he beats LA Knight, the flash in the pan is going to be over. He's going to go back to his roach-infested apartment, cutting promos into a brush in the mirror, pretending to be a WWE superstar. Because The Miz crushes hopes and dreams. Look at his track record. He says, this was this was good. These boys were cooking. These boys did good. Outside of LA Knight stumbling his words about the payday loan place, which I'm not sure if that was legit or if that was, a written promo. But outside of that, he hung with The Miz. I think he did a really good job. I think The Miz killed him, clearly. The Miz is just pretty effortless when it comes to kicking people in the balls verbally. Which works because The Miz can't fight. So at least he can talk shit, He can't fight worth a damn. But he can talk that shit. And he talked that shit here. So they got into a bit of a fight. With The Miz ended up doing the skull crushing finale on LA Knight. And then said that the skull crushing finale, that's LA Knight's future. Then he's walking away and he gets chased down by LA Knight and pummeled, which is hilarious because very rarely do guys get to make a big comeback after the exclamation point. But they did a good job here. This program has done wonders for both guys. It has exposed LA Knight's promo abilities, I think. We all love LA Knight promo abilities. We like the guy. He got charisma. He's got personality. Miz is applying a lot of pressure. And LA Knight is busting at the seams a little bit. But it's going to make him better in the end. He's being tested. And it's making LA Knight stronger, I think. I don't think he's embarrassing him. This is like the second time The Miz has ate him on the mic. But it's going to make LA Knight better because this was a better comeback for LA Knight than the previous time. And then, of course, he made a joke about banging the Maurice, too. It was kind of tasteless, which made it funny. But, overall, I think it was a really strong segment. This has been a very strong feud. This has been a very strong feud. And I think both guys are being elevated for it. And it says a lot when The Miz has something to sink his teeth into. You really are reminded how good he is. Like when I wrote on Twitter that I was actually surprised The Miz was like cleaning his clock verbally. I shouldn't, but I really was. I didn't expect The Miz to come with a full court press the way that he was. Even having done research on the guy. And it's really crazy because he has been going viral for all the different things that he was a part of. He was in, commercials and all this kind of stuff. And The Miz has done a lot of different things. And The Miz has succeeded in a lot of the things that LA Knight has tried to do. Or that LA Knight has done. But he may have done one or two of them, while The Miz has done many. Miz has done more commercials than LA Knight has. He's been on more reality TV shows. He's the host of his own reality TV show, well, co-host. So a lot of this stuff is really showing you how alike they are, but you like LA Knight because he's cooler. He comes across as being a very cool guy. And he also comes across like somebody who might actually kick your ass. Unlike The Miz, who, comes across as some kind of, corporate paper mache empty suit like from American Psycho or something like that. But I have to admit, I love this storyline. This storyline is cooking. I like it. Next, we got Bayley versus Shotzi. Hey, a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month or so ago, Bayley shaved Shotzi's head, and it was a major horror-based storyline with Bayley being afraid and always on the verge of running away. And instead of booking that match or even putting that match in a spot that might make some people think that it's interesting or that it's important, no, we take Shotzi off TV for 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, and then we dump her back on this show after people have kind of forgotten about her. And then they decided, you know what, we're going to do this match. We're going to do the match now. And then we're not going to just do the match. We're going to have the match end with Charlotte helping Shotzi win. So in no way should you mistake that this was about getting Shotzi over. She was taken off TV for 2 weeks, and then she couldn't even win the match on her own. So that should tell you right there that this is not really a storyline for Shotzi. It's more like a favor. It's more like, hey, Shotzi did something really cool for her sister. Let's give her something for it, but I don't think there's going to be anything beyond this. So she was dominating Bayley for most of the match. She did a really good tope suicida here too, like one of the very good ones. And she was basically beating Bayley up this entire time, which makes sense to do a babyface shine. And, you'll have the heels cut off with, some cheating and stuff like this. Bayley wanted Io's belt so that she could hit Shotzi with it. Then I think Io was wanted to hit her with the belt on her own. It doesn't matter because Charlotte came ringside. She kicked Io in the face. That distracted Bayley. Neck breaker. Shotzi wins. So Shotzi is one of Charlotte's little buddies now. She's right into her orbit. That sucks. Look, it might be fine for Shotzi to get the rub from Charlotte, but she really needed to beat Shotzi. Shotzi really needed to beat Bayley on her own. If this is about getting elevated, it's about Shotzi winning these matches on her own. This is very unfortunate that they decided to go with, we're going to have the Magic Charlotte come out of nowhere and help, which, is dumb. Shotzi should have won this match by herself. But I get why they did this. They want to have Charlotte feud with Io. So that's where we're stuck with now. Fine. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Shotzi's hair she had a pineapple head. She had a head like a sticky bug. Those sticky bugs that get trapped under your pants or your shoestrings when you walk through like fields and stuff. Like, I know I can't be the only kid that walked through the alley and had all this brown thing stuck on your legs. That's what Shotzi's head looks like. She got a head like a cactus. She got a head like a dragon fruit. I mean, it's just she's like a kiwi by the head. I don't understand why she did the spikes, the hair gel. She did it. It looks very unique. You know, it looks very unique. Can't take that away from her. You know, she has decent aggression, but her offense still looks weak. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for Shotzi to snap out of it. Her offense doesn't look great, but I don't know. Maybe I don't think she should have come out with the tank and all that kind of stuff. I think that if we're going to do horror-based Shotzi character, we should have just done the horror-based Shotzi character and got rid of the tank girl stuff. I don't know. I don't know that much about this, you know, if we're being honest. But I know that her momentum was killed when they took her off TV for no reason. You know, and no explanation either. It's not like they explained why she was gone or she was just taken off TV. It was literally for no reason. And now she's back in a match against Bayley with no heat. Even though they blew all the heat off by taking them off TV. So, I don't know. This is goofy. But Bayley lost because Bayley always loses. She's the girl Chris Jericho. It doesn't matter. She's not harmed at all by losing. And therefore, Shotzi doesn't win anything when she wins. So, but Charlotte and Io ought to be a fun feud. Really hope that Charlotte loses these matches clean. Io needs to be established as a champion. So she needs to win these matches clean. All right, so that concludes the Smackdown portion of the show. Now we're going to get into the Payback predictions. Are you ready for Payback? Because I'm not. This is a B pay-per-view if I ever heard of one. Your boy John Cena doesn't even know what it means to be the host of Payback. I don't think anybody knows what it means to be the host of Payback. I don't know why Payback needs a host. I don't know. I guess that means we're guaranteed a John Cena, Cody Rhodes interaction. So let's start there. Grayson Waller and Cody Rhodes are going to have a Grayson Waller effect, in which Grayson Waller is no doubt going to try to get under Cody Rhodes' skin, say things that are going to be completely disrespectful, but at the same time, he's going to be more tame than he would have been in NXT, which has been the most aggravating thing about Grayson Waller is how he's less unhinged than he was in NXT. He seemed to be more out of control in NXT. Is this going to lead to a feud between the two? Is this going to lead to maybe John Cena and Cody Rhodes as a tag team, which I think is probably the more likely idea? Is that maybe at Fastlane you'll have Cena and Rhodes versus Waller and Theory. I like that idea. I think that's probably a better usage of John Cena than John Cena working a singles match, because there's nobody really on the heel side for Cena to work with, really. Well, not one-on-one that, you know, should get the rub. I mean, he can't. He's already lost to Roman, and then there's nobody else really, especially since he's not working anybody on Raw. So if he was to do, he's interacted with Grayson Waller before. I think he interacted with him at Money in the Bank, I think it was. So he's interacted with the Theory once this year. He buried him before losing to him. And then he dropped the hammer on Grayson Waller at Money in the Bank. So no doubt Cody Rhodes is going to drop the hammer on Grayson Waller too. And then, you know, Waller and Theory might jump Cody Rhodes. This leads to Cody and Cena versus Theory and Waller at Fastlane. I think Fastlane is the next pay-per-view. That works for me, you know. Cody won't get his infamous match against John Cena. He'll get to be John Cena's tag team partner, which ought to be great. You know, it ought to be good for Cody. I don't know why he insists on wanting to wrestle John Cena. That doesn't make sense. But I don't know why he want to do that to himself. Like, the guy is super over right now. Don't bother, you know, shooting yourself in the foot by wanting to wrestle John Cena. You're not going to get picked. People may like Cody Rhodes right now, love him, but they love them some John Cena in a whole different way. You know, you just don't do that. You don't put yourself in that predicament. But that's what I see here, is that we're going to end up with a tag team match or something like that out of this. All right. Speaking of tag team matches, Pittsburgh Street Fights Tag Team Championship, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Damian Priest and Finn Balor. I think it's pretty obvious that Finn Balor and Damian Priest are not winning the titles here. It's probably going to be some kind of miscommunication on Damian Priest's part that's going to cost Finn Balor the match. Finn is going to lose. He's going to be the reason that Judgment Day didn't win. Again, he's going to take all the blame for it, and they're going to boot his ass out the next week, the next Monday on Raw. And I say that because I'm pretty sure I got my palms is itching. You know, your palms itching. There's some money coming. I'm almost ready to go on DraftKings and tell everybody that Damian Priest is cashing in the fucking money in the bank on this show, and he's gonna win it. Because again, like they said, if not every member of Judgment Day has a championship, they're going to have to do something different. They're going to have to make some changes. Finn Balor is going to be the only member of Judgment Day without a title. So at that point, he's going to be the thing that's going to have to change. But they're not going to win this match. I don't know what to expect from a Pittsburgh street fight. I mean, it is a B show. I don't expect them to do too much of anything but chairs and kendo sticks, which is 99% of all WWE hardcore matches are just chairs and kendo sticks. I'm kind of tired of that. Real tired of that, honestly. But I'm going with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens because it's obvious. Austin Theory versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. Now, earlier I pitched the idea of Theory and Waller working against Cena and Rhodes. Now, I like that idea, but it would depend on the placement of this match on the card. I'm guessing this match is going to be the opener, which tells me that there's a good chance that Theory loses this match due to the LWO's interference, or maybe even John Cena gets involved. You know, maybe Waller tries to help him, you know, and Cena gets involved, you know, or something like that. But something tells me that Theory is not going to win this match. But it's not going to matter that much. Because I do think that the feud between Rey and Santos Escobar is going to start up eventually. It's got to, right? It's got to start at some point. I mean, Santos can't continue being a simp for Rey for no good reason, right? I mean, you gotta take a L and start changing their ways at some point, right? So I'm going to go with Rey Mysterio, and to continue the Santos Escobar, the arc of his heel turn, he'll probably help Rey win, or maybe take a bullet for Rey in this match or something. But Rey is going to win. Next, Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. There's no way in hell Raquel is winning this title. They have been putting all this effort into Rhea looking like an absolute beast. Why would they undo all of that by having Raquel win the title? There's not even anybody I could think of that would interfere and help Raquel win. Maybe Liv Morgan, but I think she's going to be out for a long period of time. She's in no way near time to return. I'm guessing Rhea's going to cheat here. Maybe Dominic will help. And they'll probably kick the can down the road and they'll end up doing another match. But I definitely think Rhea Ripley's going to win the title here. Keep maintaining the championship here. I mean, there's just no business taking it off of her. All right, Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, steel cage match. Oh, finally, this feud is going to end. Clearly, Zoe Stark is going to get involved. It's going to be about whether somebody else gets involved, too. I think this would be a fine time for Tiffany Stratton to get involved in this feud and to cost Becky Lynch the match. If that's what they're going to do in terms of Becky Lynch working with Tiffany Stratton. Because Trish can't win the match clean, clearly. But Trish winning the feud because unknown third party slammed the cage door on Becky's head and ended up being Tiffany Stratton. That would be a shock to the live audience because maybe a lot of those people would not be familiar with her. But I think that's the most favorable angle you could do here. Because if it's Zoe Stark, I mean, you're going to be pretty pissy, right? And if Becky wins the match, I guess she could always win. You have to do something to keep Becky away from Rhea Ripley because it's clear that they wanted to do Becky and Rhea Ripley at a really big show. So they're not trying to blow it off on some B show. So they're not going to do it like Fastlane. They may do it in Saudi Arabia, but they're not going to do it, at some B show in the middle of nowhere, United States of America. So they need to do something that maintains Becky's overness, but she has to probably lose the match. Unless she wins and gets attacked afterwards or something like that. But I'm going to go with Trish Stratus winning the match with some outside help. Because Becky doesn't need to win. But the question, of course, then becomes, where does Trish go? Trish has feuded with Becky Lynch exclusively this entire time. So what next? That's going to be the question. Like, who is there for Trish to work with and to give the rub to? I mean, she's a heel. Rhea is a heel. Them working against each other is kind of foolish. I don't know who the baby faces would be that they could feud with. They can't even go for the tag team championships because Chelsea Green and Piper Niven are the champions and they're heels. Unless we turn Chelsea Green and Piper Niven babyface, and then you could have Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus chase them for the tag team titles. I guess you could do that. Unless you want to just give up the ghost and turn Trish babyface, which I guess you could. I don't know. I don't know what you can do, but I just don't see there being anybody on Trish's level that she can work with. And all the young folks that are on the roster, most of them are just no good. And they don't deserve the rub. Like, can you imagine Trish Stratus giving the rub to Indy Hartwell or to Candice LeRae? That's a waste of time. You might as well go home and be a yoga mom again. Give the rub to Candice LeRae. No. No. Natalya? God, no. Ugh. I shouldn't even said that. I shouldn't have put that in the universe because somebody might have heard it and decided it was a good idea. No way. So I'm going to go with Becky Lynch. And, I'm going to go with Trish Stratus winning the match. Because Becky Lynch is probably going to end up losing due to some kind of outside help. All right. LA Knight versus The Miz. This one's pretty cut and dry. The Miz is not going to win. He doesn't need to win, and you don't tell the appropriate story by Miz winning. So Miz is going to lose. LA Knight needs to win the match. He needs a signature victory. They should continue this feud. They should try to squeeze the juice out of this thing. If they can get one more match out of it, that ought to be fine. But these two guys have been doing some of the best stuff that on television right now. They've done a really good job. LA Knight's going to win, though. Now, the main event of the evening, Shinsuke Nakamura, the Lethal Weapon, versus Seth freaking, oh my God, my back hurts Rollins. Hopefully he doesn't wear women's clothes, which, is too much to ask for when it comes to Seth Rollins. He's no doubt going to be wearing women's clothes. He's going to be wearing leggings or one of those shirts that you tie up in the front like he's Tupac or something like that. It's going to be definitely something out of City Trends that he's going to be running around here in. It's going to be very embarrassing, but it is what it is. Okay, so story is Nakamura wants to attack the back of Seth Rollins. He's vicious. He's more vicious than ever, more violent and more focused than ever. They seem like they just did this with Finn Balor, where he was more vicious and more violent and more focused than ever and still managed to lose. So I'm going with Shinsuke Nakamura loses, but he sets it up so that Damian Priest could cash in the Money in the Bank and wins the title. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going with Rollins wins by the skin of his teeth. He probably takes a hell of a beating doing it. Damian Priest comes in, cashes Money in the Bank, wins the title. And now 3 of the 4 members of Judgment Day have titles. The only one who doesn't is Finn Balor. And then we start telling that story on Raw. So that's what I got. And I think it's pretty simple. If they don't have Damian Priest cash in the Money in the Bank, and instead Seth Rollins just wins the match, then I would be disappointed. I don't know. I guess I can't be disappointed, but it seems to me like this is the perfect setup for, Damian Priest to win the Money in the Bank, to use the Money in the Bank and win the title. That's what it feels like to me. And then you could have Rollins chase him for the belt for a couple of times. I don't know what you do with Nakamura after that, though. once Nakamura has been the most lethal Nakamura in the world and still failed, I don't know what you do after that. I guess he's in the same boat as Finn Balor, you know, a guy who clearly the office likes him, but they're not sure what to do with him. So they're just going to keep putting him as a perennial main event guy who never becomes the world champion. I think that Nakamura's WWF run will be very typified here, because either he's going to win the title, and thus, you know, this 6-year odyssey of his time in the United States is finally going to make sense. He's finally going to be the top guy in the top wrestling promotion, or he's going to end up where he's always been, which is, well, we're going to get Nakamura to the main event, but he's not going to stay there. He's just going to lose and then slide back down the card. You know, this is, of course, them finally making good on the 2 Nakamura teases to the main event. They teased him wrestling Roman twice. Like, that's such a weird thing that they did, where they teased Nakamura wrestling Roman twice and didn't do it. How weird is that? But he's going to get this match with Seth Rollins, and I think that it's going to encapsulate his WWE run. He's going to get close because they respect him, but they're not going to put the belt on him because they don't see him as being a top guy the way that they see other people as being a top guy. He can be a top guy, but not the top guy. And that seems fair to me. So that's my predictions for Payback. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.